Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sorting Hat Podcast, the show where everything and anything can and will be sorted. I, as always, am your host, Michael Barryte, joined by my co-host, Reed Brice.
Hey, this beach is not for nerds. Look at me flexing. It's so oily. If you want me to get my oily flex on you, get out of here, nerd.
Oh, Jesus. The basic conceit of our show is that we have a friend, expert, fan of a certain topic, and they sort things within that topic into the various houses of Hogwarts. Today, we are joined by a longtime friend of mine, actor in the Los Angeles area, and manager and developer at Planet Escape Room, Allen Barstow.
That's right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, very happy.
Probably saw me mouthing around to your intro.
Yes.
Well, for one episode, I would like to do the intro as both of you because I feel like I've listened enough where I can do it pretty well.
I think we have to let you.
Yeah. Next time we give the floor to you.
All right.
I'm so
I'd like
excited to
that.
see what I'm going to sound like.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I'm going more for intonations than maybe like actual voice.
We'll see.
So
I always
don't know.
feel that intonation is like what leads to a better impression.
I
personally.
agree.
But
I agree.
By intonation, I'm dumb. What does that word mean again?
just like your inflection points and things like that. The way
Cadence.
so like Christopher Walken has like very clear intonation that everybody, when they do an impression of him, they aren't necessarily nailing the vocality of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Unless they're Allen Barstow.
So like they're not getting the dialect necessarily, but they're speaking at the right rhythm.
Yes.
Like
Right.
with
like,
Shatner.
too. Yeah.
Did you know
C-3PO?
Shatner developed that speech pattern because he's so bad at his lines? It's literally like back when he was younger, it was him going up, but he would try to justify why he was pausing so much, and then it just became his thing.
I believe that because I remember like older Twilight Zone episodes. You know, it's like he's not bad.
Yeah. But
and
it
then
was very
something
much
over
him just
time,
like,
it's like,
like
oh.
working through like I didn't prepare, which I relate to on a fundamental level.
So he
Yeah.
failed up in the best way.
I mean, it's Shatner, baby.
Yeah.
What else he gonna do?
So the subject which we are sorting to bring us slightly back on track is going to be beach volleyball.
Yeah, bro.
And Alan, what is your what led you to beach
Yeah,
volleyball?
you get into it.
Yeah, well, I've always been a fan of it. Back in, I want to say, late middle school, I did a beach volleyball camp, and I enjoyed it a lot, but it never really pushed it beyond that. And then what it was living a 10-minute walk from the beach.
That's what
where
my
I
question
live.
was going to be, because beach volleyball camp, I can imagine if you're like out by Malibu, but if you're like a
Right.
kid in Missoula going, I want to go to beach volleyball camp.
Exactly. No, you're gonna play indoor.
It's
yeah.
more niche, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
I live 10 minutes away from the beach walking, and I've lived in this place for like 2 years, and I've done nothing to utilize this area that I have down in Redondo. And
The way you said Redondo, exactly the way
he
you should
really
have.
leaned in on it.
Oh, that was a satisfying Redondo.
Redondo. At the time I was working in a restaurant that I hated, and looking back on it, it's like, yeah, I can say I was kind of depressed at the time. So, and then I just had this notion of like, there's this beautiful area. There's this sport that takes place outdoors. It's very social. Let me see if I can get some friends together to play. That was a little difficult, but I got a couple friends. We actually just ended up running into people from the foreign language school around the corner from my place. And they're just like, can we join you? And like, yeah, of course you can. You guys are cool. And so, we played, and then we tried playing again, but they were really flaky, and there were language barriers, and where it's like, I thought we were meeting at this time. Like, no, we're not. Okay. So, my buddy Jeff and I, we're walking down, seeing if there's anyone we can just play with, and we're like, no, they're too good. They're too good. They're too good. We don't want to mess them up. Then we saw a group of turns out most of them were like engineers from this particular company, GCS. And
Do they like pocket projectors in their in their t-shirt? And you're like, that's some nerds.
Not quite. They had the look right. They had the look right, but they had it's like, all right, I think we can match their skill level. And yeah, and so they were very welcoming. And then turned out they had this email list going of, people that they played with. And over time it became less GCS and more my friends. Yeah. Because my friends didn't have as much to do during the week. And they're always saying like, Alan, do you know someone? Do you know someone? And then, now it is what it is today. And maybe there's 2 GCS members that are still a part of the crew. Otherwise, it's just kind of a hodgepodge. Some people that just wandered down, be like, hey, can we play with you guys? And now one of them is marrying my friend in a couple months.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And didn't you say that you also that beach volleyball helped your connection with your lady too, right?
That's true. That's something. Well, that's something, an interest that we shared from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like, that she has her job, I have mine, and there's so many reasons not to see each other. It's great to have this thing of that bring us together. And so it's a great time where and our skill levels happen to be pretty much equal between the two of us, between the rest of our group. So it was great
chemistry.
Yeah, good chemistry, and she's a great teammate. She's an inch taller than me, and I am not short.
Nope.
I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
And so she's got that height advantage, and she uses it. She doesn't have hops. But she has a great swing.
What? She doesn't have hops? What does that mean? We're already
like
getting
a beer?
into
What's
like
going
a,
on?
like a
Jumps.
good
Jumps.
So she's not the one who does the jumping.
Right.
I see.
So she's got the height. She doesn't, but she can't jump much higher than her existing height.
I see.
Which is jumping is beneficial in both blocking and spiking.
Gotcha.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's exactly where we're probably going to be starting, just with like terminology of our all the moves and things like that, because I think that's predominantly there are some positioning aspects, but beach volleyball, unlike indoor, is customarily played with groups of 2 or teams of 2.
Right. Yeah. In the Olympics, you'll never see more than 2 players. Or you'll only see 2 players on a team.
Gotcha.
But we don't do that because 2 players is hard and you have to cover a lot of ground.
And in sand, no less.
Right.
Do you try to cap it at a certain number of players, though?
Yes, because what was happening is first it was a problem of not getting enough people out to play, and then all of a sudden we had too many. Mm-hmm. So then what we would do is we would try to divvy up the players. Now it's pretty consistent. We usually get maybe 3 or 4 people on a team. That's just the way the climate is right now with our group.
And is that like a pretty good sweet spot in terms of like coverage and stuff?
Yeah. So my ideal play is 3 people on a team, because everyone is getting enough play to make it worth it. You still get some good exercise. Some people prefer 4 because, again, it's just the more people you have, the less work you have to do.
Right.
I like playing 2s. Some of the people in our group just do not want to put in that effort. But I like it, especially if I have a good teammate. Legally, the AVP and Olympics, it's going to be 2 people on the team. But
so don't you walk up
do
to the Olympics with a team of 3 and say, "Hey, let's do this," because they're going to tell one of you got to go sit on the bench.
They'll say no.
I'm pretty sure you can just walk up to the Olympics tryouts, right?
Right. It's just like on the beach. Yeah.
I just imagine it's kind of like a cattle call every year. Like, are you from America and you play the sport? Come on out.
Right.
No?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah. Hang out.
But you said with such confidence that you thought that was how it worked, Reed.
Listen, I play so little sports that I took line dancing class in high school, so I didn't have to run a mile.
Rock and roll.
We had a class in our high school, because Alan and I went to high school together, that was, you could either do like the basic gym rotation set, or you could do the class called walking and weightlifting.
That would have been my stuff. But I would have been like representing the walking side.
Which was every other day, you would either be just walking around the track, or you would be in the weight room. And as long as you were engaged to some capacity doing both, you
Wait,
were fine.
I wasn't aware of this. It was literally called walking and weightlifting.
Yeah.
Because I remember doing a lot of walking
Mhm.
and some weightlifting, but like always thought we were encouraged to run.
You were running on your own time, pal.
Man,
Oh,
you
That was
damn.
not in the
were.
description.
I don't think we were ever in the same gym class, but like it was.
I only had 1 year of gym because I did wrestling.
That's
first.
right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then I did.
The first year, my freshman year, I was in gym with Zan Alda, previously on the pod, doing
Good
advanced
friend, good
board
friend,
games
Zan Alda.
and Disney Channel original movies.
Yep.
And Phil Daddario, who has not been on the pod, but is also dear friend, and we should have on the pod at some point.
Funny
But
dude.
the three of us were just in a walking weightlifting class, so we would just walk around the track and shoot the shit for an hour, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
very
we
chill.
weren't supposed to be doing that, but that's anytime I was supposed to run the mile, I was walking and shooting the shit.
I think it also helped that we had Coach Liebig, who, he was just like,
All right,
yeah,
go on down here, sit down. Yeah.
which is both a great vocality impression and intonation impression of him.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah,
Thanks, buddy.
absolutely.
Yeah, he was also the wrestling coach.
Yes, he
and,
was.
And it was kind of awkward when I quit wrestling to do theater, and then he became my PE coach. It's
Oh,
like I always
no.
felt like I let him down, but
Yeah.
I was a terrible wrestler anyway, so they weren't losing out.
He came and saw one of your plays. And he was like, "He made the right decision. This is beautiful. He was so bad at wrestling." Oh God!
He found it.
All right. So what are we gonna sort first, fellas?
Yeah.
Volleyball.
Let's just start with like basic skills. Like let's deal with your serve, your pass, your attack, your set, your block. Those
right.
things. Does that seem like a good place
Yeah,
to start?
well, should we just talk about bump set spike?
Sure,
That being the
we
big
can
thing?
we can do it in that sense. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
pretend that I'm someone that has never heard of volleyball before. Teach me.
All right. Well, there's this net, and there's two poles, and there's this thing that's round.
Gotcha.
No,
That's all I need to know. Have a good day.
So tennis.
Yeah, this is one that it's a funny sport, or kind of I guess similar to tennis, where it's I forget which comedian was talking about it, but it's not like, hey, give me the ball like football or basketball. It's like, get this away from me, get it out, get it over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's like the scramble towards or knockaways.
right.
Do y'all ever call tetherball cowards volleyball? And that's why it's on a pole, because you just it's just somebody who's been banished. So play by yourself.
Cowards volleyball. I don't think I've played tetherball since playing volleyball.
My
so
apologies to
gotta
any
take that back to
tetherball enthusiasts in there. I don't think you're a coward. The volleyball community
No,
might.
they know you're a coward.
Okay, so
All right, so bump
Just
set
double
spike.
down on it. Read double down.
what's a bump?
All right, so when you serve to the opposite team, so one player, one team serves it over the net to the opposite team. The ideal play is a bump set spike. So you only have 3 hits to get it back over to your opponent's team. So ideally, you have one person receiving it with a bump. So that's when you place your arms straight in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You place your palms are up. One resting on top of the other, and you bring your thumbs inward. So you want your forearms to create as flat of a surface as possible, flat, solid surface. So it's like kind of like having like a wooden plank to receive that.
On the receiving
that
end,
first
you're
ball.
kind of like wanting the ball to bounce off of your forearms.
Right.
Okay.
And you just want to have as much control over it, because usually that serve is coming in pretty fast, or that spike is coming in pretty fast, and you want to absorb a lot of that. And the goal is to get it as best as you can to the setter for the second hit. So the setter will usually be up at the net if they're doing their job correctly. And their job, it's kind of as the name implies, they want to set their bro for the third hit. So they're up at the net. They receive the bump from the receiver, and they can either do a bump set or they can do an overhead set. Bump set is it's just the same as the receiver, putting your arms straight out, creating that plank.
Bounce off the forearm, yeah.
Or you can put your hands above your head, and it's kind of like a trampoline. And also beach volleyball is much more precise than indoor volleyball. They're much more strict on
shots
overhead
fired.
setting. Yeah.
Get your shit together, you sloppy ass indoor sport.
Yeah, I guess it's to account for wind and the elements and stuff like that. But you can't. Sure. You have to have if you're doing an overhand set, it has to be money. There can't be any rotation to the ball.
So you're trying to like create a flat surface with your hands like outwards, towards the net sort of thing.
You want to make it almost straight up.
Oh, gotcha.
In some cases, in fact, you might want to do it straight up.
So
just
like
depends on
going
the
for one of those like
positioning.
raise the roof type of moments, like that you would at a party, but now you're applying this to sports. Okay, we're on the same page now.
And it's and you want to be very careful that you're not catching the ball, and it's a fine line between setting and catching the ball. So you kind of want it just a barely trampoline off your fingers, not your palms. It's all fingers and thumbs. And you're setting it straight up, and you're setting it in a way where where your hitter, your spiker, your hitter, where they can then lift off the ground, skyrocket up, and then slam it over to the.
Oh, so it's an assist move.
Yes.
You're like, it's just like setting it up so the person like, boom, just take it home and like score the point.
Exactly. So that's your money team right there. Your play bump set spike.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we sort all of that as one thing, or how would you want to set it up? Are they three different, very distinct things to you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Probably. Let's break it up.
Yeah, I say we exist both in isolation and then maybe in pairings or a chunk.
Sounds good.
All right, so where do we see a bump?
Well, I suppose we can even start before that with the serve, right? Is that even fair, or should we just start with the bump?
You can, but then there's like, do we want to go like overhand serve, underhand serve?
Oh, so the serve is its own thing. All right, hold on. We're gonna start with the bump, and then we'll get to the serve.
Yeah, and also because bump set spike, that takes place in any play. Anytime you're receiving the ball, you want to try to do a bump set spike, not just off of the serve.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting with the bump seems pretty straightforward. Also, when you were describing it, I was having flashbacks to the second year in high school, my sophomore year in high school, when I was in gym and we did indoor volleyball for whatever reason over like a longer period of time than the normal, because it was like every 2 weeks, I think we like switched sports or whatever.
It's like, let's introduce people to different things.
And for some reason, indoor volleyball, I think it was because it was like raining really heavily that winter, that they were like, nope, it's another like 2 weeks of indoor volleyball. My forearms were so like sore and bruised.
Especially if you're new to the sport, then those forearms you can mess up pretty well. So you kind of build a tolerance over time. Part of it could just be not having it positioned perfectly.
I think that's more of what it was. I remember enjoying it, but I also remember, the following day just being like, oh, it hurts to just like flex my hand.
Yeah, that happens especially for new players. And also you said it was rainy. If it was cold, then that ball is going to be a little harder. That's might do a little damage to your forearms.
That is valid. But yeah, okay. So the bump, it seems fairly straightforward. I'm like, nobody who is listening can see this,
at home.
But I'm like trying to like plank out my arms to make it as it would be.
Michael's doing a little, please sir, can I have some more kind of movement there?
There we go.
But then your hands,
and good, you have your elbows.
Your thumbs inside your hands. That's not going to hold the gruel, you idiot. You're a terrible orphan.
I'm the worst kind of orphan.
Get out of here. You can starve.
But you can play volleyball.
Oh, thank you.
You can starve and you can play volleyball with those arms.
That's what they do to all the orphans who are not good orphans asking for gruel. They're like, well, you can't stay in the orphanage anymore, but we have this volleyball team that we're putting together.
Now, I don't even know if this is correct, but like somebody told me like when you're fighting, you don't want to tuck your thumbs into your hand because when you make a fist, like if you get hit with the fist the wrong way, you could like hurt that finger too.
That's right.
Are injuries also common since you're like tucking your thumbs into your palms, or is that not really a concern?
Injuries can be common, probably not with the bump like that. It's more so not communicating with your teammates and running into them. Like it happened to me just last week, or you'll have two people going on opposite teams going for a ball right above the net, and then one person, their leg lands under the net, and the other person lands on top of them.
It's less like impact injury and more slapstick comedy injuries happening.
Right.
Gotcha.
Perfect. Yes, exactly.
You're Three-Stooging it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are times like if I go up for a block and I don't have my fingers locked, and that ball is coming fast, then it'll bend a finger back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, actually, Chelsea got me pretty good on a spike when I tried. Actually, no, she spiked it so well. I had to reach out my arm the full extent, and I saved it, but it also like bent my forearm back, and my elbow was messed up. And so had people making fun of me for a while.
You gotta be you people with longer wingspans gotta be careful about that stuff because I got little stubby arms, but they're stocky.
Right.
So with those stubby
your
arms, you're making the bump. How are we feeling about this? Like, it seems like a fairly straightforward. This can have two uses. Mm-hmm. One, in that it can be setting up for a set, but it also could just be a simple return.
It could be. That you generally want to avoid unless you're receiving it and it's like, okay, this ball, I can control it and I see the perfect spot where somebody is not covering. Mm-hmm. I'm sure our friend Jake Tiemann, who plays with us. We have a term with our group called Jake Ball. Mm-hmm. Where Jake, he tends to he often leans towards hitting the ball over just whenever he receives the ball, whether it be the first, second, or third hit. He's getting better.
Shots fired at Jake Tiemann.
But yeah, Jake Tiemann, just brought out Jake Ball.
We gotta get Jake
right
on the pod. I want to have his side of this. I don't think this is fair.
Oh no, he'll corroborate it. He's like, yeah, I do that. Yeah,
he'd also be a fantastic guest.
Yeah, he's a fun dude.
I feel like this isn't the most like flashy sort of like dramatic part of of this move, so I would say it's probably gonna skew more Hufflepuffy or Ravenclaw.
Exactly.
And what are you feeling, Michael?
I'm leaning more towards Ravenclaw based on the fact that I really am split, because Ravenclaw I see from the simple like, hi, I'm now trying to.
It's also worth noting that Michael Barryte is a Ravenclaw.
Yes.
Reed Brice is a Hufflepuff.
Thank you for reminding us.
And Allen Barstow is also a Ravenclaw who feels like he should be a Hufflepuff.
Oh, see, I feel like you should be a Gryffindor.
Okay,
but
that's really sweet.
That always reads as I have poor self-esteem. Stop saying that I should be in Hufflepuff just because I'm a dork or whatever reason. What's your reason? I feel defensive today.
Loyal.
I want to fight.
So I'm raising fingers here. Loyalty.
1.
Patience.
2.
Fairness.
3.
Yeah, those are all attributes that Allen Barstow does possess, but I would lean towards Gryffindor because you are one who stands for the community. You're also whenever we go camping, he's the one who's like, I got to provide for everybody. He literally like, I'm not exaggerating at all. He grabs an axe and goes out into the woods and will sometimes just drag half a tree back.
Okay, well that's just attractive.
I don't want to pay for firewood.
So you became a lumberjack. Got it.
He's also wearing plaid right now.
No, you do look like you do like you're serving some Bounty Man realness. And I love it.
You guys are making me feel good. I want to be I feel like I'm either the Hufflepuff's Gryffindor or I'm the Gryffindor's Hufflepuff. Like I'm the one keeping the other Gryffindors in check, being like, okay, like, yeah, you can do that, but think about others for a second.
And yet you're a Ravenclaw.
Yet I'm a Ravenclaw.
Yeah. So, well,
you know what?
All right.
We all contain multitudes.
I appreciate you taking one of my jobs and letting everybody know where the sorting bias is.
I don't even listen a lot.
Because sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
So
We're a
thank
hot
you for
mess
taking me to
pod.
task.
Yeah.
But no, I was going to say that as this feels like a bump feels like it's all about more direct calculations as far as like I need to be. I mean, I suppose all of volleyball is all about like properly angling and things like that,
Right.
But
You got to choose some over the other.
But especially if you're in a group of 3 or 4, the bump is then deciding where that ball is going and who that ball is going to for the set. So you then have to be in that moment with that bump deciding which of your forwards, right? It would be forwards in that situation.
Yeah,
or like
let's go with that.
Closest to the net.
Yeah.
Those people who
I mean,
are
if it's
setting
only
it.
2 players, then you have one option.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it happens to be only one person in the back and 2 in the front and you're bumping, you're making a call there.
Yes. Well, I would say in our particular case, we always play in a diamond shape. So there's always one setter.
I see.
Yeah. So even if we have 5 people, which is kind of an awkward number, we'll have one setter, 2 hitters, and then 2 people in the back receiving.
I see.
But would you say that this out of all of the moves, like this is the one that you have the most control over strategy out of this set of moves?
I might give that to the setter. So I agree with everything Michael just said. I think that's something, if we're comparing all the different hits, then the setter might be more of the Ravenclaw because they have more options. If there's more than 2 players, they have more choices. I feel like the bump can either go to Gryffindor or Hufflepuff.
Ooh.
Because I say Gryffindor because you're often taking a very fast ball. Like you're the first person. You're the first person on the field to decide. And Hufflepuff because it's like your goal shouldn't be to get it right over, but it's like, here you go, man. This is for you. I did this for you. I'm helping out my fellow man here. So when in the grand scheme of things, I might have to go Hufflepuff on it.
I could see that because it's the point of that particular maneuver that like all things are pretty equal there. You know, we're just gonna set it up and see what happens.
Also, if we are slightly reframing Hufflepuffs a little bit as they have been the punching bag house, kind of. They're the shock absorber of the team. So the bump is exactly that. You're taking this aggressive strike and going, no, I'm going to like slow it down for a moment.
Yes. And oftentimes beginners make the mistake of swinging their arms up on a bump. When really, if that ball's coming fast, you want to actually absorb.
You just hold, you hold
You
it.
either hold or you're bending your legs to even,
Because if you
slow it
swing
down
at it,
even
you're
more.
going to fuck your arms up.
You're going to fuck your arms up
see.
and the ball's going to go flying somewhere where nobody can get it. And
Right.
So I might lean towards the puffs.
Okay.
Hufflepuff for that, and then I really liked your explanation for the set. Do you have any issues there?
No, I agree. The
Yeah.
set does feel in your argumentation of Ravenclaw.
And it has to be super precise, especially for overhand sets, because there's this rule in beach volleyball where if you're not allowed to have 2 touches, one person can't touch the ball twice, except for one rare exception, which we can talk about later.
Intrigue.
And one person can't do 2 consecutive hits on a ball. So if you're setting overhand and the ball touches both hands, but then one releases the ball slightly ahead of the other one, that counts as 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's that. If the ball is spinning, that's how you know, like, oh, that person didn't set well because they released the ball with one hand before releasing it with the other one.
It's always interesting to like learn like what are the very specific like more like neurotic nuance rules. Like how no hands in soccer.
Yeah.
Each hand is its own person. It's its own
entity.
In volleyball.
Yeah.
Just minutia sports.
And just to add to the Ravenclaw aspect, if you have more than 2 players, then you might have a setter. You might have a hitter in front of you. You might have one behind you. In I don't think it's allowed in indoor volleyball. In beach volleyball, you can do a backwards set. So even if someone behind you that you can't see, but you know they're there, you know they're ready, you can do a back set to them, and that actually might be a little Slytherin thing because that throws off the opposite team. Like, oh, they're gonna set to this person. Oh, wait, they did a back set to the other hitter right there, and so everyone else is out of position on the opposite side.
That's a more high drama move. Yeah, definitely more.
Oh, now I'm thinking maybe it's Slytherin. Oh man.
I mean, you can say that the basic set is probably a Ravenclaw and a back set is a Slytherin. Just on like the throw off. And I mean, you could also make the argumentation that it's just, while it is crafty, it's also strategy. Like,
let's do that. Let's say exactly what you said.
I think that's a great distinction.
And then we have the actual strike.
Yeah, Gryffindor. Yeah, it's a Gryffindor. You're ideally, you're up in the air, getting as high as you can be, to arm fully extended, just to get that most leverage to the other side. There can be some precision involved. Yeah, again, if you see an open spot, you want to get it over there. But I lean towards just hitting it as hard as you can inbounds on the opposite side.
And that's a very Gryffindor sentiment.
Yep. My buddy Rob, he's 6'3", and he's really good at placing the ball. He's a very smart player. He's the Ravenclaw of the group, I'd say, and might be our best player. And so he's really good at finding the open spots. But and I'm the opposite. It's like he's got that covered. I'll be the power guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So then those have covered like bump set spike. That's like the basic back and forth that's going to happen in any volleyball exchange. We briefly set the serve to the side because there are several component or different options with the serve. So I suppose let's sort the serve and all of its subsets.
Okay. Well then, like the spike, you have your overhand serve, which, like, if you've seen the AVP logo of, the dude in the air with his hand behind him, it's pretty much his limbs are all behind him because he's ready.
It's like the equivalent of in basketball. It's like the silhouette of the dude about to dunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the overhand serve, which is very similar to a spike, but you're on the back line. You want to get the ball, you want to hit it at the apex of your arm, extending upwards, so that it can just come down with power. You want it to get as low as possible. You want it going over the net, obviously, but you also don't want it going high over the net.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to give the other team much opportunity to get underneath it to dig it out.
Gotcha.
Is that
a lot harder to do?
The jump serve, I don't normally do it. Most people in our group don't do it just because it is difficult. Because you're not only having to place the ball in a perfect spot, but your body and your arm. So I usually just do an overhand serve, but stationary.
Gotcha. So there's jump set, overhead, and then is there an underhand serve? Yeah,
you can serve it underhand. Generally, it's going to be easier to dig out, but it's a much more safer bet.
And digging out is like hitting it back, right?
Yeah, it's just hitting it.
Okay, cool.
Getting it to a playable. To where it's playable.
I want to make sure that I'm following along. This is your world, honey.
So I mean, it sounds like are there more right now? We've just listed off 3.
There's float serve, which is
that sounds.
That's where you get it with ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I apologize immediately.
You went to ice cream, and I was thinking telepathy. So. That just shows where our sensibilities lie.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with ice cream. You're obsessed with ghosts.
Yeah, man.
What's a float serve?
So think of this Also in baseball, like when you throw a ball and you remove the centrifugal force on it so that you get a lot of wind resistance, this ball is really good in high wind conditions because it'll be going over the net and then it will just pick up a little bit of draft and then all of a sudden it's floating over here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's you can utilize a float serve.
If you can control the weather, this is your move.
That's it. If you're Storm, you're float serving it.
Storm's always getting like banned from beach volleyball because she's like she's going in as a fix.
How do you pull that off?
Usually it's an open hand. You could
Wolverine
probably do it
gets
with your
banned
knuckle.
too.
To use the adamantium ball every time. It's you can do it with just an open hand because normally when you're hitting it, you will get some centrifugal force, either an overhand or an underhand. So the ball is spinning, and it's going in more or less a consistent direction.
Centrifugal force is that thing that on a roller coaster, if you do a loop-de-loop, it's keeping you from going outside of the roller coaster, right? It's like that force that like pulls you down.
That's yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
I'll make sure I'm on the same page.
So that force that's pulling you down is also spinning a ball to cut through the air.
Oh yeah, because it's also what makes figure skaters be able to spin as fast as they go, right?
I believe that.
I just gotta get all of my centrifugal force examples.
I'll do the figure skating.
I'm sure we're
next.
going to get some physics corrections, but
from me, I feel like I am going to be peer reviewed and pass with flying colors on my physics. When I had to ask, am I correct in what centrifugal force is?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I took physics AP and it all went out the window as soon as
I took environmental science and I dropped out to direct the play. An open hand will often give you the
because it'll be
float
static.
Because it'll be static. You're not putting any spin on the ball, so it's having a much harder time to cut through the air. So it might come over to the opposite side a little more slowly, but just one little gust of wind will send it, flying in a different direction.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's not necessarily a move you can plan too well, right?
If I will do it if I know that if I feel a gust of wind right there.
Oh,
it's this would be a good chance for a float serve.
You lift the finger and go,
Yeah,
wind's changing.
Or in the beach, you can pick up like a little handful of sand and drop it and sprinkle it down, and you can see which direction the sand is going.
Yeah.
And then actually you can cause some, we were talking about injuries if a float serve is coming over and one person has it, all of a sudden it floats over to the other person, and then that can cause some problems.
Oh, so
we've got 4 serves that we've covered.
Yeah, well, we'll stick with those.
So
I'm sure there's others.
Let's start with the jump serve.
Jump serve, yeah.
Which that
is a Gryffindor.
It just has so much force and power in it. It's going to be Slytherin.
I think that's a Slytherin.
Okay, how is it Slytherin?
It's a Slytherin because it's one that's like, it's obviously got a spotlighty sort of vibe to it.
Yes.
And so you're going like, hey boys, I'm going to bring it home right now, right out of the gate.
Especially since you're saying that a lot of you don't bother doing it only because you said it's more difficult, right?
It's got the cockiness aspect could also be going Gryffindor, but I do think the overhand serve feels more clearly Gryffindor than the jump spike.
And if there's a higher risk of not succeeding with it, I think that gives it the edge to Slytherin because they're just like, no matter the cost to myself to everything else, I'm going to go for this.
Reverse. Maybe it's the reverse.
Explain.
Because there's a higher probability with a jump serve to fuck up, correct?
Yeah.
Which is probably more Gryffindor than Slytherin. Like, Slytherin's going to make the calculated...
Oh, I'll only look this cool if I know I'm not going to eat shit.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. So, it's thwarted.
So
I co-sign that.
So those two got flipped. So the overhand is a Slytherin, but the jump serve is a Gryffindor.
Well, I'm not even sure about just the plain overhand.
You think the float serve is a Slytherin?
Float serve has to be the Slytherin,
but it could also be a Ravenclaw.
That's me taking advantage of things. You're right. You're right. Could be a Ravenclaw.
I know.
Yeah, because there's deceptive and cunning, and then like calculative are
I mean,
very,
it's
very close.
the houses are so close in that regard.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right with I might give the underhand serve to Ravenclaw, because it's like there's no chance, there's fewer chance, there's less of a chance that I will mess this up, and I can place it very accurately.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't you also say with the underhand serve that one is a lot more vulnerable to
It's a less offensive.
Yes. Yes. There's some guys I know who can do an excellent underhand serve that barely makes it over the net and then drops right away.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy in particular who has a good underhand serve.
Yeah, initially I was thinking Hufflepuff, but then when you do bring up the like, oh, you can calculate it very well, and especially if you have practiced enough so you know when you hit this underhand serve, it is going to drop right on the other side of the net to get everybody rushing up front to open up a spot in the back, so you can, or the middle. That's well played.
Yeah, I was just reminded of, so there's one guy that plays with us every now and then, not often, but when he does this one serve where it's underhand, but he just hit the ball freaking high up in the air. And especially, again, if it's a windy day, you don't know where that ball's going to land. And like, it looks like something like, oh, that's easy, we can just get under that. But it ends up disorienting the shit out of you. So there, you can throw that into the mix as well.
So the high underhand serve.
The high underhand serve.
I feel like that is just literally throwing chance to the wind.
Literally, yeah.
Like, just going.
Sometimes he doesn't even look, like he like turns around and does it to where
No, it's like literally like sort of like our fate is in the hands of the gods, you know? It's very much a hero sort of stakes.
Yeah. It can be super effective, though. Surprisingly annoyingly effective sometimes. Like, why didn't we hit that? We had an hour to figure this out. And it started here and it ended there.
I think though, by and large, the underhand would probably go Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not Ravenclaw, probably Hufflepuff. But it feels more like a Ravenclaw. Then we've got the float serve, which we don't necessarily need to definitively land whether it's a Ravenclaw or a Slytherin. But
yeah,
if there is argumentation from, I think, Alan, you've expressed that. I've sort of also, Reed, how do you feel the float serve?
I think that one is probably more Slytherin, because I feel like Ravenclaw is the more like, you have less of a control set sort of thing, the less likely you would be to want to make that move.
I see.
Yeah, and
there's just too many variables in that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, with the float serve, you know it's going to fuck them up, but you don't know where it's going to land.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you just know that it's going to be deceptive, but you're not really exactly sure how.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, those are our basic move sets, correct? Is there anything else that we're leaving out?
I guess, we could talk about blocking.
Sure.
Blocking is very important. So yeah, when you have the two players, blocking is super important. And then that's when you're throwing hand signals behind your back. You're like, I'm going to block the angle. I'm going to block straight line. When one player, when the hitter, the attacker on one team is hitting the ball over to the other side, there's someone has the opportunity to block. So it's pretty simple. Jump up in the air. You typically want strong locked fingers that protects your fingers from getting bent back. It also, makes it a stronger block, more effective.
Are you getting up closer to the net, or where do you?
Yeah, you're gonna be close to the net. Generally, it's the setter who's blocking. If you're playing with more than two people, whoever is at the net setting is also going to be the one blocking. It's it could be a very exhausting position depending on how long the rally's going. I get the most winded when in the setting position, and you can have another another player come up and help you with the block as well. You can try to double block someone. We talked about the one caveats to hitting the ball twice consecutively.
Mhm.
Yes, I was going to bring that up, but this is tied in with blocking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is on a block. So so Reed, say you're on my team.
Okay.
Michael's on the opposite team. Michael jumps up and he does a super sweet spike.
Because I'm so good.
Yeah. So
Get
and
wrecked,
then
brah.
and then Reed, you jump up to block and say it hits your hand, but it's still over on our side of the net.
This is how I make my money, you son of a bitch. I'm a hand model. How dare you?
So it's still on our side. So you've hit it, you've slowed it down, but you haven't fully blocked it. It's not going back over to Michael's
but I'm
side.
not allowed to hit it a second time, right?
You are. You are. So the first hit counts as the block. A block is not a hit. So you can then, so say it bounces off your hand and kind of goes straight up. You can then freaking slam it right back.
So as long as it's not actively being pushed back over the net, it's just like, nope, I'm deflecting what is coming towards us. That doesn't count. That counts as the block,
Right.
and then you actually going and hitting it is the actual hit.
Yes, and
Okay.
in order for it to actually count as a block, that first impact has to take place above the net.
Gotcha.
Okay, so blocks occur over the net,
Blocks occur over the net.
and then
But the moment it gets in like more into your quadrant, that's when you have to like, nope, only get one hand movement now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so were Reed to block with that, they could not then bump it. They would have to spike it on the return.
No. Reed could bump it back to me.
Okay,
Yeah,
so at that point,
set it back to me.
because
Or most likely eat shit and it just goes over my shoulder and everyone's mad at me. If, like, my only experience with volleyball actually is like a terrible Tinder date, but I was like the bad one on the date.
wait. So on this Tinder date, you played volleyball?
No, I'm saying it's like one. When I was going into high school. This was before everybody was online, like all the normies. But I was very on the internet, and my family was concerned about that, and so they actually set me up with one of the coaches at the high school I was going to be transferring to be like, for the love of God, please get this kid running laps or doing some sort of thing that takes coordination. And the coach was very nice to let me come and do like the pre audition. What is it? What do you do?
Tryouts.
The Olympic tryouts.
They had some training
Anybody
session
Olympic
before
auditions.
that, and I was so terrible that after the second day, the coach came up and was like, "It's okay if this isn't for you." So she basically dumped me from being able to even try out for the team.
Yeah.
Do you know how bad you have to be for them to tell you not to come to tryouts?
If you have been told not to come to tryouts, please tweet at Reed with
I wasn't even being like a dickhead or anything. I was just that awful, and like maybe they thought I was like not taking it seriously.
join the hashtag tryout team.
You're just a kid doing their best.
Yeah, tell me your worst sports audition. Anyway, so where do we see this move?
Well, so I just want to ask a follow-up because I think I might have gotten fixated on the wrong thing earlier.
Sure.
So in a volley or rally, are they interchangeable? Volley and rally? Kind of? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, well, hopefully I didn't just get you in trouble.
Yeah.
But
I'm not an expert. I just like this a lot.
sure. So you had said initially that on either side they're hitting the ball 3 times.
Yes.
Before, so if you exceed 3 hits, that's a point for the other team.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. That's
so,
an infraction.
So a block does not count to that 3. A block is like its own thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I was looking at stuff, and there was some dispute on that, which I was not aware of before. My understanding was that a block never counts as a hit and doesn't count towards the 3. Now, there might be some weird thing with between indoor and outdoor, as there always is. But it was always my understanding that a block did not count as one of the 3 hits. Yeah, let's just go with that.
Okay,
and if
sure.
somebody knows for sure the correction on that, because generally if you block it and you have a chance to hit it again, you're just going to hit it right back over. Maybe you'll set it to someone next to you for another hit.
Yeah. So if you blocked and then you can set or something like that, and you can block and then you can double set. Correct?
What do you mean by double set?
Like, not you personally, but like somebody can set the ball and then somebody else can set the ball theoretically, like as like a fake out maneuver or something like that.
Yes, yeah, but again, it has to be precise,
right?
Yeah, so that's why a lot of people are afraid to do it. Some groups, some like you pickup groups or something like that, they'll ban overhand setting, which I think is lame.
No, you got to footloose that.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
How dare you?
The way we play is that if you don't have a perfect set, that no one cares. No one, we let a lot of infractions go because we just want to play and have fun.
It's about fun.
Yeah.
All right. So the block.
Yeah. So as we can just count it as one whole thing. Don't have to break up the block at all. Yeah. So
defense, in my opinion, is going to be a Ravenclaw or a Hufflepuff by default, because like the offense houses are Slytherin and Gryffindor in general.
Yeah, I think similar to the bump of being a shock absorber of sorts, it could very well be the Hufflepuff.
Yeah. I have nothing against that. I'm all cool with the block being a Hufflepuff.
No, and it's what I have to tend to do to a lot of people who bully me online. So it fits in just right.
So let's just close out real fast with you had mentioned before we started with fouls and infractions.
Yeah.
So and then we'll wrap it up. So lifts and carry. That's one thing, right? Or I suppose you should give a general blanket of what infractions are.
Lift, some people call it lift, some people call it a carry. That's if the ball is contacting your body for an excess amount of time. So it's like catching the ball. That is bad. You never want more than you never want the ball to do more than just impact your body and then be released.
Sure.
So that's where the overhand sets really get into trouble.
Is it kind of like when you travel in basketball?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Very similar to that. So catching and overhand setting, very fine line between it, and a lot of it will depend on if you have a referee or just if people are just being dicks or something.
Right.
Also, if you're really diving for a ball, it's about to touch the sand and you like get under it, but then you end up just kind of like raising it like a pedestal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a lift right there.
I see.
I was hoping this was involving like somebody picking someone else up to like go up real high.
Well, that is also illegal. Which,
okay.
I did not know that until recently.
What if you and I are wearing a trench coat though, and they don't know that my head doesn't match your body?
One of those infamous trench coat teams that plays beach volleyball.
The AVP trench coat.
It's what me and my friends do when we're not trying to get bank loans.
I like the idea of just a team of trench coat players in like any sport. Can you imagine?
We sweat a lot.
It will. I can't see it helping you in anything.
but
we look good
trench coats
doing
help
it.
you with? Yeah.
Maybe bowling. Like to give you extra like swing like and height.
Oh, I like that because like you use the weight shift. Yeah. Or in curling to keep you warm.
Mm-hmm. I feel like these this sort of like this fouls in general. I feel like probably organically got folded into sports as they were like, we need to make this more challenging.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can't just like grab it and lift it back up, Carl. Yeah, you gotta touch it. No, you're lifting it up. No, that's called a lift. No lifties anymore. You know
what I do? What I do?
You lifty.
There's no rule. There's no rule that says
I
a
mean,
dog can't lift.
a lot of these fouls and infractions, one would assume would inherently be Ravenclaw.
'Cause,
Right,
you know,
right now, I do feel that lifts and carries do pretty handily, no pun intended, fall into that category.
Yeah, so you're saying Ravenclaw as opposed to Slytherin?
Yes, because
Okay.
I think at least in
I think it's very easy to put it in under Slytherin.
well, I think for the reason that I think lift and carry, both of those strike me as less intentional and more accidental. Like the dive to a lift is
Yeah.
I'm not meaning to do it, but like I'm,
Yeah. And actually there's there are allowances when you are barely getting to the ball. Like there's a lot of allowances for what they call hard driven balls. That means somebody just freaking spiking it, slamming it over the net. So I was probably incorrect there. So if you're diving for it, and you barely get a hand on it and you do a little bit of a lift, they'll probably accept that.
Okay. 'Cause I was
yeah.
going to say, otherwise, these sort of things like make me tend to think it's like a more of an exclusivity thing because like less people would be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
But if there is a
Yeah.
little bit of allowance, just
Right.
it's just there to make it as fair as possible, then yeah, I think maybe
well,
you're right.
no, you just said the word that might actually lean it in towards Hufflepuff's camp. You said fair, and if we're getting a leniency there, which I think is more like, I think Ravenclaw and Slytherin are going to be, when you are playing the game, the one who's like, get the rule book, let's check this, let's like double check, let's play the
Yeah,
tape
meanwhile,
back.
Well, that's the Ravenclaw, and the Slytherin is the one
Hufflepuff
saying
would be
like,
like-
let me see if I can get away with
And
this.
then Hufflepuff
Yeah.
would be like, all right.
Like,
yeah.
guys, it was going
Yeah.
really fast.
Are we still having fun or are we having fun? Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Or the-
lifts and carries, Hufflepuff.
Yeah, Hufflepuff. Let's do
Then
it.
you
Yeah.
said netting.
Netting, yes. And this is something that I was mortified when Chelsea told me this a couple days ago, that so people net when we play and we don't call it.
Is this when you throw the net on somebody and then pelt them with balls? Is this how you initiate
just
people?
tie them to the back of a truck and no, this is you're not supposed to ever touch the net.
Got it.
You're not supposed to ever touch the net. So this happens a lot, especially when you're spiking. That ball is above the net. You come down on it hard. And then as you do, you hit the ball. And then you also end up hitting the net there. So
This
no
is
matter.
a Gryffindor.
Idiot.
Yeah,
This
so-
is a Gryffindor.
No matter how well I hit that ball, if I hit the net, it's the opposite team's point.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
This is definitely a Gryffindor
Yep.
infraction.
And
because
Apparently, I do this a lot. I thought I
Ooh.
was doing it just as much as everyone else. Maybe that's just because I just friggin' go for it. I don't know. But I wasn't able to play recently, and then our group was like, yeah, I think we should step up our game a little bit. We're getting better, and I think we should start calling each other more on netting. And so like, Chelsea, you're gonna have to tell Alan. You're gonna have to tell Alan. Like, what? Me?
Ooh.
I do. And then I'm looking back on it. It's like, I guess I do. Oh no!
this was a moment of real growth for you, Alan.
Because when my roommate Nate would play with us, he would do it all the time. He would do it all the freaking time, and like enough where even though we weren't calling it, we would still call him just because like that he would like be
Don't be egregious
he'd be
about
hanging
it.
from the net afterwards.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, but I guess since he doesn't play with it, I guess I'm the biggest culprit, and I felt terrible.
I
felt
always say
absolutely
if you
terrible.
want to feel good about your abilities, just have me play with you. The other day, somebody insisted that I bowl with all of the other people who were bowling.
Yeah.
I don't think I got over 30. And I was trying for most of it.
Which is impressive in its own right.
I know, personal record.
Start off in the gutter. Yeah.
So
Just
then
immediately.
let's close out with open hand touches.
Open hand touches. So that's
Sounds like something that, like, at a junior high dance, they'd be saying, no open hand touches.
Only closed hand touches. You touch one another with fists.
You say one for Jesus, no open hand touches.
you fist for Jesus.
Oh, shit. All right. So what is that?
All right, so that's that kind of goes in line with lift and carries. So if I'm receiving a ball and then it's going over my head, and I then it's not like an impact. I'm not hitting it with impact, but I'm then just like kind of like pushing it back over as best as I can.
So you're Donkey Konging the ball back.
Yeah. Open it. Also, when you're hitting a ball over, like say, trying to think of the best example of this. Okay, so you do you're trying to do a bump set spike, but the spike it's not gonna go well. So it's like, all right, I got to figure something else just to get it over the net. You're not allowed to just kind of like catch it in your fingers even on one hand and then like redirect it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with open hand, it's much easier to redirect the ball, and that's what this rule is fighting against is. And that's something, Rob, I'm calling you out. You've done this a lot. Yeah. So
all of your team's drama. We're gonna like somehow like break up the team because you're like spilling all the tea.
He's done it a lot. Actually, he doesn't do it anymore. He's Rob, you're the best. So
I'm sure he listens.
Yeah, for sure. So if the ball is like right by the net, it's like, okay, I just need to get it over. You can't just like kind of grab it in your fingertips and say like, yeah, all right, you're gonna go to the left now.
I see.
So it has to be, you have to either do what's called the cobra, where you put your hands, like imagine you're doing the cobra. Like,
yeah, or like if you don't have a sock puppet, but you're trying to like show people what a sock puppet would look like if you had a sock on your hand.
You do that. Yeah. So you use your fingertips and you kind of like stab at the ball so it's more of an impact. Or you can do, you could put your index finger or like a couple fingers into a knuckle. Mm-hmm. And that with this you can slightly do a little redirecting, but it's just not nearly as much control as having open hands.
Sure.
So yeah, imagine you're doing like putting your index finger in a hook and then just having
locking
it really
it
locking it in and then just like tapping it.
So you're
yeah,
like
it looks like
knocking
you're
it.
like you want to knock on a door, but only with one knuckle.
right. Yeah. So you're knocking on that ball.
Yeah.
You're getting it back over.
This one feels like a Slytherin call out as far as an infraction, like open hand.
Open hand, yeah, because you're specifically or redirecting. You're using kind of like, there's no one there. You can. If you're tall enough, it can allow you to like dunk the ball straight down,
right?
Which is not really fair. So yeah, I'd go for a Slytherin on that one.
And with that, I feel that we have sorted all that we set out to sort.
Oh, can we talk real quick about jousts?
Oh, yes.
First of all, I was going to also say a lot of this terminology like reminds me of like fencing. Like a lot, it sounds like you could probably.
Yeah,
like,
if you ever want a fencing episode, you let me know.
Yeah, Alan.
I haven't done it in a while, but
Alan knows his way
either
around.
You or Mark Zuckerberg, but I don't want him on here because he's a Holocaust denier.
Wait, two things. I didn't know he fences. Second of all, I didn't know he was a Holocaust denier.
He's not a Holocaust denier, but he did say that he understood why people might have questions on Facebook. It's real gross. And then also he was obsessed with fencing in college.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the Harvard boy in him or the MIT. Which school did he?
One of them rich people.
I think it was MIT.
Yeah,
I think it was MIT.
I'm sure there are plenty of working class fencers.
It was Harvard. Yeah,
he
you're
was
right.
mad about not getting into those whatever's in the social network.
Yeah. That's why all my information is based off of that social network. Yeah. Well, I'll cross swords with Mark Zuckerberg
jousting.
Jousting.
Yes, this is actually something that I did do a little reading up on and then forgot about. But
so y'all jousting, mount your horses.
This is where you whistle for Epona to arrive.
Your steed arrives.
Yeah. So jousting is what happens when the ball is directly above the net and it's so say someone on the back line received it and they meant for it to get to the setter, but actually it looks like it might be going right over the net. And like it's kind of hard to tell. Is it going over or is it staying on our side? So what will happen is both people that are close to the net, they'll both swing for it at the same time. And they can often actually make impact with the ball at the same time. And it's a pretty fun experience.
It's literally the opening of basketball games.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
It's that, but there's a net in the middle.
Yeah, it's the tip off. It's a tip off, and it's it's happening in play. So this is I love again. I'm keep calling out Rob. I love jousting with Rob because he has the precision, he has the Ravenclaw precision, but I have the strength, I have the power. So it's like the one time where I have my advantage over him.
I mean, the joust feels like a Gryffindor.
It is, yeah. But you also have to be very careful not to net while you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if your two people are jousting and one person comes down onto the net, it's very easy to net in that case. Then teams points going to go to the other team.
Does it often also result with not hitting the ball, but instead doing a very powerful high five?
Yes, that does happen. That absolutely happens.
I would be in it for that.
Yeah,
That's one of those
But Lord knows
moments.
I wouldn't be able to jump up and be high enough to probably go over the net. I'm a very tiny person.
If it were an anime, that's when like the shockwave blasts
Yes,
out.
yeah.
And everyone's like, we did it. We fucked up.
there is a volleyball anime, by the way.
Oh,
it's
I'm
pretty
sure.
good. My roommate was watching
almost
it.
every sport has an anime.
Every sport, every sport, and it's an indoor one, but it's like it's great how they dramatize these. Dramatize, is that the right word? These just like small little events, and they take 10 minutes. What happens in
and
1
I always,
second? Yeah,
I don't necessarily get all of the details of sports enjoying, but I understand that a lot of it comes down to like personal drama. There's just not as much talking in between.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's why so many sports movies get made. Not because like everyone's like, oh, I want to see a story that I already know the outcome for, but I want to know about the people behind it and like what's driving them to
Right.
Because it's all the
those
preparation, and then you get to that one moment, and you either can do it or you can't.
Yeah,
and the conflict is already built in.
exactly.
Yeah.
So with that, Alan, thank you so much for coming on the Sorting Hat podcast.
Thanks for having me.
If we want to find you about the internet, where might we look for you? Or if people are in the Redondo area
Yeah, if you're
and
in the
want to join
Redondo
your...
and you see
play.
Alan play, and I guess you can walk on up.
Now, I will say I am a I'm not sure, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, whatever hybrid. I'm a Slytherin when it comes to volleyball and people bringing other people.
Oh.
Because like
Don't bring
just anybody. Don't bring just anybody. Like make sure they can play.
Especially if Michael, do not bring me. Okay.
I won't be bringing myself.
Yeah.
I know where I lie.
Yeah, I had the wherewithal when I was starting out to see like, okay, these people are too good. These people, I'm not gonna mess up their game.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone has that. So, and if you're way better than me, then I'd still love to play with you and learn from you.
And I give them a little bit more deets for your company for Escape Room if you want to.
Absolutely. So yeah, so far as finding me, Facebook, Allen Barstow, Allen, spelled the correct way.
You just send out a friend request.
Yeah, be my friend. Instagram, Allen Barstow, nothing special there. And then I'm a manager and developer at an escape room company, Planet Escape Room, down in Lomita, not far from Redondo. We have one room open called the Wise Guys Room. It's a mafia FBI theme to it, and we're gonna have our next room open very soon. Control Alt Reality, which it's the Matrix. It's the Matrix. Yeah, and we're gonna have more to come.
For copyright purposes, it's not the Matrix,
It's
but
an
it's the
homage.
Matrix.
It's Neo's Adventure, Neo's Cyber Adventure.
Oh, so you straight up didn't disguise it. That's great.
Neo's Adventure starring Keanu Reeves. They got Keanu.
Right.
He's there every day, all week.
He needs a part-time job.
Yeah.
But Yelp us. We have great reviews. And
If you want to find us on the internet, I'm at That Dang Dingus. Michael is at Belated Media, and we are both at Sorting Hat _pod.
Yes, we are. So let's all go to the beach, everybody. Let's go volleyball it up.